another thing I like to show off whenever it comes to using HardOps is using Smart Apply. And in this case, we see that the Smart Apply clone actually removed the last bevel. So let's actually click on the render toggle and try that again. And we see that it still gave us the same result, which is somewhat strange. That's something that, you know, I definitely ponder with the Smart Apply lore and will more than likely be changing in the future. However, for the sake of this example, we will just Shift D duplicate, Control A, visual geometry to mesh, press Q, use sharpen, and then using face mode by pressing 3, I'm going to select just this area. We'll press I in order to inset, and then we'll press Control I to get the inverse selection, and we'll just delete everything that isn't part of the selection. And so from here, it's just us sliding some geometry around just to get everything to be congruent, because our geometry was just a little bit too sparse for the operation that we're performing. However, this is a common thing that happens with users getting acquainted with Blender, is keeping the geometry too sparse for certain high poly operations and then ending up with shading artifacts. So I wanted to demonstrate just some of the basics as far as mitigating it. However, I do have an entire playlist dedicated to the topic of topology mitigation and dealing with things and also solving certain areas, because, you know, the key to getting good geometry whenever it comes to curvature is definitely topology. The messier your topology is, the more of a likelihood you're probably going to have to transfer your normals. However, I'm determined to get quite far without having to transfer normals, at least all the way to the final render. I just feel that Blender is flexible enough to allow that sort of mobility whenever it comes to getting around. So we just want to double, triple check to make sure that we're not dealing with any overlaps, because from here, if we press Q and we add a solidify, we can press 2 and push it both ways. And with this mesh that we just made, we just want to cut it back into the mesh that we just left. And let's just adjust our solidification. And things are going wrong with this particular mesh, and that's because the bevel for weight got pushed all the way to the end, which should definitely not be happening. So definitely some lore things to be checking in with that, but weight modifiers should be held to a very different standard than angle modifiers, in my opinion, and especially in their relationship with booleans. Part of the beauty of HardOps and Boxcutter is the sort system, but, you know, automating systems definitely have a chance of working against the creator, you know, when created improperly. So definitely something to keep in mind. But with any systems that you see demonstrated or talked about in HardOps, they can always be toggled off and on the fly in order to allow you to experiment with or without them. But me personally, I just don't see a world without sort.